The Exile, the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, stretched across 3 kilometers of crystallized space, its walls reflecting the light of 1,000 star systems. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of the judgment platform, her spine straight despite the weight of what was coming. Around her, representatives from 47 civilizations watched with eyes that held no mercy. The Krellian High Judge raised his 4 arms, each holding a gavel of condensed dark matter. The species known as humanity stands accused of reckless expansion, unauthorized genetic modification, and the development of prohibited quantum weapons. His voice echoed through translators in 100 languages. The evidence has been presented. The verdict has been reached. Elena's hands remained steady at her sides. She had argued for 3 cycles, presenting evidence of humanity's peaceful intentions, their contributions to galactic medicine, their art and culture. None of it had mattered. The fear in alien eyes had already convicted them. By unanimous decision of the greater species, humanity is hereby expelled from the Galactic Council. All jump gates to Sol system will be destroyed. All trade agreements are void. Any human vessel found beyond the quarantine zone will be destroyed without warning. The gavels fell in perfect synchronization, sealing Earth's fate with a sound that rippled through subspace. The Andromedans disconnected first, their ships vanishing from Earth's orbital stations within hours. The Centaurians followed, taking their medical technology with them. One by one, humanity's allies abandoned them, until only empty space remained where bustling trade routes had existed for 2 centuries. Elena watched from the observation deck of the last human ship leaving Council space. Earth grew smaller in the viewport, wrapped in the shimmer of the quarantine field that would keep them prisoners in their own system. "They think they've caged us," she whispered to Captain Marcus Chen. "They have no idea what they've really done." The isolation was immediate and brutal. 8 billion humans woke to find themselves alone in the universe. The economic collapse came first. Industries built on alien technology crumbled. Cities that had grown dependent on off-world resources struggled to adapt. The suicide rates spiked as humanity grappled with their cosmic loneliness. But humans had survived ice ages, plagues, and world wars. They would survive this too. Dr. Sarah Okonkwo stood in the ruins of the Lagos spaceport, watching the last Council observer ship disappear beyond the quarantine field. "They want us to despair," she told her team of engineers. "Instead, we're going to build." Within 6 months, her team had reverse-engineered the quantum processors the Krellians had thought humans too primitive to understand. Within a year, they had improved them. The transformation began in secret. While the Council believed Earth was withering in isolation, humanity was evolving. Underground cities expanded beneath the Sahara, powered by fusion reactors that burned hotter than alien designers had thought possible. The Pacific became a testing ground for technologies that violated 17 Council regulations. Mars bloomed with terraforming techniques the Council had declared too dangerous to attempt. Professor Li Wei made the discovery that changed everything. Deep beneath the ice of Antarctica, construction crews building a new research facility found something impossible. A ship ancient beyond measure, its hull composed of materials that shouldn't exist. It predated the Council by millions of years. It predated most known civilizations. And it was human in origin. "This can't be right," Li Wei muttered, running the genetic sequences for the 100th time. The mummified remains found aboard the vessel were undeniably human, but they were old. Older than human civilization. Older than humans should exist. The implications shattered everything humanity thought they knew about their origins. The ship's data cores held fragments of information, star maps showing trade routes between galaxies, weapon schematics that made Council technology look like toys, and references to something called the First Expansion. Humanity hadn't evolved on Earth. They had been placed there, hidden, protected, or perhaps imprisoned by their own ancestors for reasons lost to time. Commander Diana Reeves stood in the newly constructed shipyard hidden in the asteroid belt. "If we're going to build a fleet, we do it right," she told the assembled engineers and workers. "Not just ships that match the Council's technology, ships that surpass it." The first prototype emerged 18 months later, its hull incorporating the metamaterial technology recovered from Antarctica. The ship didn't just break Council specifications, it shattered them. Where alien vessels needed days to charge their jump drives, this ship could leap between stars in hours. Its weapons didn't just destroy matter, they unraveled it at the quantum level. Its shields didn't deflect energy. They absorbed it, growing stronger with each attack. More ships followed. Each generation improved on the last. Engineers who had been forced to work within Council limitations now pushed boundaries that hadn't been pushed in millions of years. Artists became weapon designers, creating instruments of war that were horrifyingly beautiful. Doctors became genetic engineers, enhancing human reflexes and intelligence to levels the Council had forbidden. The hidden fleet grew in the shadows of Jupiter's moons. 20 ships became 50. 50 became 200. Each vessel was staffed by humans who had been children when the exile began. Raised on stories of abandonment and betrayal, trained from birth to reclaim humanity's place in the universe, Admiral Sophia Petrov surveyed the assembled fleet from the bridge of the flagship Prometheus. 300 vessels, each one capable of taking on a Council battle group alone. 20 years, she said to her bridge crew. 20 years they believed us broken. Time to show them what humans do when cornered. The Council's observers, stationed just beyond the quarantine field, had grown lazy. They filed the same reports year after year. Earth remains contained. No unauthorized launches detected. Population declining as expected. They didn't notice the shadows moving in the outer system. They didn't detect the quantum signatures of ships designed to be invisible to their sensors. Dr. Okonkwo, now gray-haired but still brilliant, activated the first Ansible communicator built entirely from human technology. It punched through the quarantine field like it wasn't there, sending a message to every Council world simultaneously. "Attention, Galactic Council. This is Earth, we need to talk." The panic was immediate. A technology that could breach the quarantine field shouldn't exist. Humans shouldn't have been able to develop it. The Council's military advisors scrambled to assess the threat. But their models were based on humanity as they had been, not what they had become. In the depths of Earth's oceans, in mountain fortresses, and in orbital factories, humanity prepared. Children who had never known alien friendship grew into adults who had no fear of alien enemies. Scientists who had been restricted by Council law now pushed the boundaries of physics itself. And in the recovered databases of that ancient ship, they found references to other human colonies, lost to time, waiting to be awakened. Elena Rodriguez, now Earth's Prime Minister, stood before the assembled leaders of humanity. They exiled us to break us. Instead, they freed us. They thought isolation would make us weak. Instead, it made us strong. They believed we were just another young species to be controlled. They're about to learn we're something much older, much more dangerous. The countdown began, not to war but to revelation. Humanity wouldn't just return to the galactic stage. They would return as something the Council had never imagined possible. An empire built in shadows, forged in isolation and tempered by betrayal. The exile was ending and the galaxy would never be the same. The Krelian High Command detected the anomaly first, a massive gravitational distortion at the edge of the quarantine zone, growing stronger by the hour. Admiral Thextar studied the readings with growing unease. That's impossible. The field should prevent any... His words died as space itself seemed to tear open. The first human ship emerged like a predator breaking through ice. The Leviathan was 2 kilometers of angular black metal, its surface absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Energy readings that made no sense flickered across Krelian sensors. Then came another ship, and another. Within minutes, 300 human vessels had materialized at the quarantine boundary, arranged in perfect formation. "This is Admiral Sophia Petrov of the Terran Empire." The transmission cut through every communication channel in Council space simultaneously. "The quarantine of humanity is over. We request an immediate assembly of the full Galactic Council. You have 72 hours to comply." The Council's response was predictable. 3 battle fleets comprising the finest ships from 12 species jumped to the quarantine zone within hours. Admiral Korvac of the Andromedans led them, his reputation built on crushing rebellious species for 5 decades. "Primitive humans," he broadcasted. "Return to your cage or be destroyed." Petrov's response was a single word: no. The battle that followed lasted exactly 17 minutes. The Council fleets opened fire with weapons that had ended civilizations. Plasma beams hot enough to melt moons, antimatter torpedoes, gravity wells that could crush planets. The human ships didn't dodge. They didn't need to. Their shields absorbed everything, growing brighter with each impact. converting the energy into something else. Then the humans fired back. Not with plasma or antimatter, but with something the Council's scientists couldn't immediately identify. Beams of twisted space-time that aged sections of ships by millions of years and seconds, missiles that phased through shields as if they didn't exist, and something worse, weapons that didn't destroy ships but transformed them. Their metal flowing like liquid, reshaping into monuments of humanity's return. Captain Marcus Chen, commanding the destroyer Vengeance, watched a Krellian dreadnought dissolve into component atoms. 20 years ago, they had us outgunned 1,000 to 1, he told his crew. Now they're the primitives. The Council's emergency session convened on Nexus Prime, the ancient station at the galaxy's heart. Representatives from every member species gathered, fear replacing the arrogance that had defined them for millennia. Elena Rodriguez, older now but still commanding, stood where she had stood 20 years before. This time she wasn't alone. 100 humans flanked her, each one enhanced beyond baseline humanity, their eyes holding an intelligence that made even the Virixians uncomfortable. 20 years ago, you judged us, Elena began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. You found us guilty of being too aggressive, too innovative, too dangerous. You were right about one thing. We were dangerous, but you made a mistake. You thought isolation would contain that danger. Instead, you removed the only thing containing it, our desire to belong. She gestured, and holographic displays filled the chamber. Images of human cities that sprawled across entire continents, orbital installations that dwarfed council stations, ships being constructed in automated factories at a rate that defied comprehension. In 20 years, we've achieved what took your civilization 1,000. We've recovered our true history, the one you've hidden from us and possibly from yourselves. The Virixian ambassador's tentacles writhed in agitation. Impossible. Humans evolved on Earth. We have fossil records, planted, Elena interrupted, by our ancestors, who built an empire that spanned galaxies before your species had developed language. We found the evidence. Ships older than your entire civilization, technology you classify as theoretical, but which we've been using for months, and references to the real reason the Council feared us. Dr. Li Wei, now head of Earth's archaeological division, presented the data. Star maps showing human colonies in distant galaxies, genetic markers proving humans had been engineered, not evolved. And most disturbing of all, records of the Council's founding that mentioned the Great Suppression, the systematic elimination of humanity's first empire millions of years ago. You didn't fear what we might become, Elena continued. You feared what we might remember. But your quarantine gave us the time and motivation to dig deeper than we ever would have otherwise. The Andromedans, always the most militant, tried to maintain their threatening posture. Admiral Korvac stood, his 6 arms spread wide. You may have new toys, humans, but you're still just one species. The Council represents 47. You cannot stand against all of us. Admiral Petrov laughed, a sound that echoed through the chamber. One species? Who told you we were just one species? She activated another display. During our isolation, we activated dormant beacons our ancestors left behind. We've made contact with 17 lost human colonies, each one developing in isolation for millennia. The Void Hunters of the Magellanic Clouds, the Starforgers of Andromeda, the Quantum Nomads who exist partially in other dimensions. They're all coming home. The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted in dozens of languages. Some called for immediate military action, others for negotiation. The Krellian High Judge hammered his gavels, trying to restore order. Through it all, the humans stood silent, patient, waiting. When quiet finally returned, Elena spoke again. We're not here to destroy you. We could have done that already. We're here to offer you a choice. The old council is dead. It died the moment you chose fear over friendship. But a new order can be born, one where humanity takes its rightful place not as subjects to be controlled, but as equals to be respected. The negotiations took weeks. Some species, like the Zentari, immediately agreed to humanity's terms. They had always been uncomfortable with the exile and welcomed humanity's return. Others, particularly the Krellians and Andromedans, resisted until human demonstrations of power made their positions untenable. Dr. Okonkwo revealed humanity's medical advances, cures for diseases that had plagued the galaxy for centuries, life extension technology that doubled even the longest-lived species' lifespans. We developed these in isolation, she explained. Imagine what we could achieve together. Commander Diana Reeves showcased humanity's defensive technologies, shields that could protect entire planets, weapons that could destroy threats without killing, transforming aggressive species into peaceful ones through targeted genetic modification. We learned from our exile, she said. We learned that true strength isn't in destruction, but in the ability to protect what matters. But it was the revelation of humanity's true history that changed everything. Professor Wei presented archaeological evidence from dozens of worlds, showing that humans had been the galaxy's first spacefaring species. They had uplifted primitive races, including the ancestors of several council species. They had built the foundation of galactic civilization before disappearing in some forgotten catastrophe. We're not newcomers asking for acceptance, Elena declared in the final session. We're the eldest children of this galaxy returning home. The question isn't whether you'll accept us. It's whether we'll accept you. The vote was called. One by one, species cast their decision. When the tally was complete, 43 of 47 species had voted to accept humanity's terms. The four holdouts, the Krellians, Andromedans, Vorthan, and Ski, found themselves isolated, their military alliance meaningless against human technology. Within a year, the new Galactic Assembly was established. Humans didn't dominate it despite their power. They had learned from both their ancestors' mistakes and their own exile. Instead, they became guides, teachers, and protectors. The technology they shared advanced galactic civilization by centuries. The threats they defended against saved dozens of worlds. Admiral Petrov stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, now flagship of the combined Galactic Defense Force. Beside her stood officers from 30 species working together in harmony. 20 years of exile, she mused to Captain Chen. Perhaps it was worth it. Elena Rodriguez, in her final speech as Earth's Prime Minister, addressed the galaxy from the restored council chambers. We were banished as prisoners. We return as partners. We were exiled in fear. We return with hope. Humanity has come home not to conquer but to unite. The empire we built in shadows now stands in the light, not above you but beside you. The transformation was complete. The quarantine field, that symbol of fear and oppression, was converted into a memorial, a reminder of what happens when fear drives decisions, and at its heart a simple plaque. Here humanity was exiled. Here humanity returned. Here the galaxy learned that what doesn't break us makes us unbreakable. As human ships spread across the galaxy, bringing trade, technology, and protection to worlds that had once shunned them, a new age began. The Age of Unity, historians would call it. The age when humanity's darkest hour became the galaxy's brightest dawn. The exile was over. The empire had returned, and the universe would never be the same.